Welcome back to the GCC Podcast powered by GatewAI. I'm your host, Suchita Vishnoi, and today we are joined by someone who's been shaping India's semiconductor story for over 2 decades, building and scaling high performance engineering ecosystems across some of the world's most advanced technology companies. Navin Bishnoi is country head at Marvell India and AVP of Client Engineering, where he leads multi-site operations driving innovation in data infrastructure, advanced chip design, and R&D. Marvell is a global leader in semiconductors, powering the technologies that connect, store, and process the world's data. Under Naveen's leadership, Marvell India has grown into a world-class global capabilities center, delivering complex semiconductor solutions for global markets while fostering a culture of innovation, collaboration, and talent excellence. Naveen's journey is all about combining deep technical expertise with visionary leadership. He's also vice chair at the India Electronics and Semiconductor Association, helping shape the country's semiconductor roadmap from AI designed hardware to the future of quantum chips. Welcome, Naveen. We have crafted three big questions for you, each exploring a different side of your leadership journey, the future of semiconductors, and the evolving role of GCCs in the high tech arena. Any initial thoughts before we get started?
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I think
Thank you.
semiconductor and in general, the electronics ecosystem is the talk of the town. And I'm glad there is a interest in the ecosystem to both learn and then find a way to contribute. So happy to be here.
Yes. Thank you. I think you're the first speaker we have from this industry. So I'm excited. A lot of what I spoke just went above my head too, because when we were exploring what questions to put together, we realized that this is a very, very intense industry by itself. So I'm excited to get your responses to the three questions we have. Starting with the first one, the semiconductor sector is often called the new oil of digital economy, and we've been hearing a lot of that. With India making big strides in both chip design and manufacturing, where do you see the country's biggest opportunities and risks in becoming a true global semiconductor hub?
Okay. Yep. Interesting question. If you look at India, I would say is that we are creating two of the biggest infrastructure in the country. One is the physical infrastructure that we see around us, the roads, the smart cities, the airports, and the
Yes.
bridges, and all of that, right? And then is the whole digital infrastructure that we are making, where all of us are connected. And probably we are maybe the first or the most advanced country in, you know, using these technologies in our day-to-day life, led by the government, by the industry, and then the academia following up together. That's one for sure is a big opportunity. The second, our population makes it as the biggest consumption market. So we have that also as an opportunity that we have the end customer right here. Now, over the last 4 decades, India in semiconductor has been a design powerhouse. We have built designs across the decades, across the technologies, across the product domains. And the number says that India probably has 20% of the worldwide design community right here in India. And if I add the Indians who are not in India but in somewhere else and contributing to this, probably
To
then
this,
we are
yes.
1/3, right? So
Yes.
that's definitely the opportunities and the strength that we have been a design powerhouse with a huge consumption and the huge infrastructure growth that we are seeing. And hence, we are converting this opportunity to connect design into the manufacturing footprint that we are bringing in together, and then trying it to connect to a products which can be leveraged in India and then to the worldwide market.
Okay,
The
great.
risk that we see is that
Yes.
I would say we don't want to stop in only at, say, creating a manufacturing system and become part of just a supply chain that instead of the chips being manufactured in some part of the world, it gets transferred to India and then it gets to somewhere else. That's definitely the starting point, but we need to go and get it to not just a supply chain, but an end to end, creating a product for India and for the global from here. And that's where we are saying is that how can we focus on creating the product led design and product led manufacturing to be
Okay.
able to a product nation rather than just a design or manufacturing piece of it.
Thank you. I think with big opportunities come big risks as well. And you've given us a feel and understanding on both sides of this. Thank you so much. So Something more specific to the function. You've led Marvell India across multiple sites, right? Driving growth in the data infrastructure domain. And from your experience, what leadership strategies are most critical for building high performance engineering teams? Because it is a complex scenario, right? And it's fast evolving sector. I mean, we just spoke about how it's moving very fast. What would be your response to that?
Yeah, and it's slightly different when I go and sit with my colleagues in the so-called as the GCC circle, because it's a very R&D intensive setup for me and many of my peer companies in the semiconductor domain, right? Uh, One, I'll just set the context, right? Means if you
Okay.
look at the chip design, it does involve that usual vertical, what we call as a electrical engineering and a computer engineering.
Okay.
But what AI is leading us is it into that there is a lot of other science and other aspects starts coming in. So putting all this chip together takes hundreds of people and hence a collaboration mindset that I will be able to make this work along with 100 others and
Yes.
knowing what is my input and what is my output and optimize that so that I can is the most important factor. So a lot of us as a leadership focus on how do we create collaboration? How do we cut
Yeah.
the silos so that this is more horizontal optimization happens and we get the best product in the best time at the best cost and the best features.
Okay.
The second thing, the cycle for innovation is really has to be fast. What I am building today is something that you and I and others will use probably 3, 4, 5 years down the
Oh my
line. It
God.
takes that long to build and then
Agree.
manufacture, test it, and put it into the bigger system and get it out to an end customer like you and me. So
Mm.
while I'm building something which will be out in the market in few years, I also have to think about what should I build next year and the year after next. Right. So I
Mhm.
also have to simultaneously keep an eye on plus one and a plus two technology and then be able to innovate and simultaneously co-create those innovation and IPs while making this at the production level. So those are, I would say, the couple of leadership focus that we need to do, which is very, very engineering sensitive. And finally, when
Okay.
it comes to the people side of it, because we are talking about a cross collaboration across 100 teams, across 5 different geographies or time zone, critical
Exactly.
communication and analytical solving comes as part of those skills that as a leader you need to ensure your team has it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a bunch of different skill sets that are required because I would really say you are the industry of the future because you said the lead time would be about 3 years ahead of when customers would really use. So that's a lot of action happening at that side. Moving and shifting gears, I'd like to know like we're hearing a lot about AI designed hardware and even quantum chips on the horizon, right? How do you see these emerging technologies reshaping the skill sets? You spoke a lot about the different skills required, but more in terms of yes, for R&D or for the engineering domain. What are the skill sets, the talent pipelines, and innovation cultures in India? Especially making India as the hub in this entire industry ecosystem.
Yeah, there are two parts to that questions with that. So when you and I look at AI, the
Mm.
building foundation that enables the power of AI is the hardware, is the chips, right? So what we call as what are the required chips for AI? So that you and I can go and sit on a AI tool or application and go write an email, create an image, do something and all of that. So we need to create those chips. Now these chips are monster chips.
Okay.
While we used to and you can kind of relate it to it when we used to make chips for the previous generations for let's say when 5G came, when internet came, when mobile came, they used to be of this size. You can open up different electronics and you can see those chip size. The chips that goes into the AI infrastructure are this big. I'm talking about working on a nanometer technology, which is 10 to the power 9 of meter scale. But I'm also talking about a model which is in the terabytes or that range. So it is 10 to the power plus 12.
Mm.
That's my so-called as,
Range.
variation of a 10 to the power 9 to the 10 to the power 12
Yes.
and making a chip which costs as much as a luxury car. It consumes a power which is equivalent to a geyser at your home. And it also has that big size and it needs to be done in the very fast schedule, right?
Yeah.
When we have to do the chips, then you bring in a lot of what we call as a multidisciplinary technique. When I make this big chip, and if it is taking the power of a geyser, it will heat up very fast. How do I reduce the so-called as the heat generated? So there's a lot of multidisciplinary
That goes
skills
in.
that have started coming in, and that's what we are focusing on, that it is no more just electrical and computer engineering, but bring back mechanical, chemical, and many other features within your chip design to enable these chips for the AI. Now, once we have built that AI, I say, I want to use this AI so that I can do chips faster. So then we say that what can AI do for me? If I was doing an RTL design or a code generation or some validation and verification, how can AI help me to do this faster? So we are building a culture that, hey, while we build the chips for AI, but I'm also saying what can AI do for me? And all of us have our so-called as a set of a toolbox with different AI tools to go and write code, generate test plan, do some optimization, validation, automation, and all of that, and building that culture of what is there in AI for me. And that's how I would say is the driving factor towards this AI driven hardware or AI enabled chip design. And we'll continue to do the skills being multidisciplinary. And then how do I use AI not just as an assistant, but something that I can delegate it.
That's lovely. My God. I don't think all of us, when we use different gadgets or, different technologies, we really think through what goes behind the scenes. So thank you for simplifying it and sharing this with us. This has been very, very engaging and inspiring for me personally as well. Now I move to the fun side. We spoke a lot about, so this is the rapid fire round. We have three questions here. We spoke a lot about chips. Spoke about AI and what it does to us. So my question to you is, what is that one tech gadget you can't live without?
My Kindle?
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm assuming you're a voracious reader.
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. My next one, what's your favorite city for business travel that you enjoy going back to each time?
In India, it's Hyderabad. I like the culture and the vibe.
Okay,
Yeah. But
thank
my
you.
more
And the
travel is
food.
for outside the India, and I visit the Bay Area. I just
Okay.
love the Silicon Valley
The
vibe
vibe there.
to create solutions, to
Yeah.
innovate and to make the future better.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. My last one here, sneakers or formal shoes? What's your go-to at work? I know today you're semi formal.
It has become sneakers now
Okay.
for me with the amount of running around that we all had to do and the
Okay.
steps that we need to keep track of.
Yeah.
I've become a sneaker person.
Okay, great. So this is great sharing. Thank you for putting all of this together for us. So thank you. That's a wrap up on this episode of the GCC podcast. Naveen, thank you for joining us and for sharing what it truly means to lead semiconductor innovation from inside a GCC. To everyone listening, thanks for being here with us on the GCC podcast. Stay tuned for more episodes, more leaders, and more behind the scenes stories from the global capability world. Until then, stay curious, stay future ready.